Hello, hello, hello. Well, I felt called to hop on the camera and now I'm wondering why. I think that's actually a really good example of what we might all be experiencing sometimes, you know? You might go to do something or you might just feel that indifference as to what it is you're doing. You're like, I don't really care. What the fuck do I want to do? And then sometimes you do nothing, which is good. But because when you do nothing, really magical things can happen. You could start off feeling like you're bored or you're unfulfilled or you should be doing more, you should be productive. As if the nothingness isn't good enough. But if you think about it, it's in the spaces of nothing that things are created, right? Once the space that I filled when I was born was nothing. That space didn't exist, right? And that's such a strange example, but that's just what I felt. That's kind of what it means to me, right? Until you make space for that nothingness, there's no space for anything to be born. An idea or a vision or a dream or those opportunities to grieve, right? There's no space to welcome what is or what could be. And I find that to be so interesting. This last few weeks of just sitting with myself a lot, just so much time with myself. Number one, I, for the first time, decided that I really fucking love myself. I love myself. And I have decided that I'm allowed to just do nothing. I'm allowed to have my days where, I'm so productive and I just did so much out of nowhere because I got this, it's almost like a creative flow. When I begin an art piece, sometimes I go weeks. Right now, I haven't been working on art, which is weird. You'd think that because of this circumstances, I'd be doing a ton of art, which was usually the case. Art was what helped me heal and process, and it's therapeutic. But I find that my productivity is as well. When I'm really thriving and I have a day where I wipe the counter and then the next thing you know, I wipe the cupboard and then the next thing you know, I'm fucking scrubbing the floors, right? That's a creative flow. That's the beautiful flow of life. And sometimes we have to have those days of nothingness to cultivate that energy within to be able to generate that inspiration that can come. Whether it's doing an art project, cleaning, I don't know, beginning a book. All of a sudden, a few weeks ago, I just started writing a poetry book, you never know what's going to surface, and it could be something super simple. And when you start with those days of nothingness, then it starts with a simple task. Say the days after you allow that space. You build this trust muscle within yourself that creates the possibility and the curiosity for what could be cultivated. And that is the most divine, beautiful energy, is the curiosity for everything. If you're feeling angry, get curious, why? If you're feeling sad, why? Oh, you're feeling sad because you experienced something really traumatic when you were 7. Well, that makes sense. So get curious as to how that may have affected you in other areas of your life. And how can you bring awareness to that and work with it and adjust the emotions and the reactivity to other things in your life that could be affected. If you're feeling really giddy about something, the way somebody says something to you, and you're not sure why, or it's a feeling you're not familiar with, get curious. What is that? What is that feeling? Does it feel good? Does it remind you of something? Is it brand new? what section would you label it under? Is it positive? Is it negative? Although everything that's negative is necessary to have positive, right? That contrast, like I talk about, is super crucial. But yeah, like section out these emotions, these feelings, these vibrations that surface. And like, that brings me back to the stillness, the nothingness, the unknown. Those places of unknown are where you become conscious of what you feel. Sometimes you don't even realize that, you don't realize what it feels like to just be you, what it feels like to just be. And then when you do, say you're connecting with people, or you do get creative, or you do get a spark of inspiration, you're able to feel a difference between what usually is and what you are in general, and who you are and how you feel and how it is to be in your body. You can recognize those new emotions differently without the distraction, because you're not distracted by trying to be busy or focusing on contacting people constantly or being caught up on social media and Instagram or whatever it might be. I don't know. Those are just some thoughts that came to mind. But I hope you're following, and maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. Or maybe it doesn't right now, but in 3 days something's going to happen. You're going to be like, oh shit. It was like last weekend. I was listening to, was it last weekend? Yeah, last Sunday. I was, Kelsey Grant, she's a really wonderful woman who I follow on Instagram, and she's been doing a self-love service every Sunday at 11. I suggest you give it a try. It's beautiful, it's fun. Guys listen to a meditation, we usually dance to a song, and then she talks about whatever topic of her choice. But last weekend, it was about grief, and coincidentally, 2 days later, after having an epic rampage of appreciation and like being so blissful with gratitude for just how things have been unfolding for me and manifesting into my reality, immediately I had all these things surface, and I ended up journaling and grieving. I'm not even kidding you, like about 20, 25 events in my life that I have experienced and survived, and I sat with it. And it was interesting because when she was telling us about the grief on last Sunday, it wasn't really necessary for me at the time. I wasn't like, oh, I really need to hear this. But the universe provided me with that, because 2 days later, holy shit, did I ever need what she talked about. And that's why I love learning about this. I love talking to people and hearing different perspectives and ideas and sharing my perspectives and ideas, because to be honest, you never know when it's going to be relevant for you. And I was able to process, let go, and release a lot in that day. And then the 2 days to follow, more things occurred for me that I sat with. And I literally sat with it. The thoughts came, the memories, the emotions, the feelings. I felt it. I was reliving it. But it was so beautiful, because for the first time in my life, I was just the witness to it. And I was able to literally hold myself. I sat in a meditation kind of position, legs crossed, just like surrendering to what was coming. And I sat with it. I told myself that those versions of me that were in pain, I said, I love you. I said it was okay. I released it. I cried. I sobbed as if somebody was dying. And I don't say that lightly, because it was very real, and that's exactly how it felt. And it was so beautiful, because I went from being in such a place of absolute bliss and gratitude, like seriously, I was like almost like crying of happiness. And then within 5 minutes, that shifted me into this. But I do recognize, and I hope that you guys can hear this, that I think by raising that vibration and being so grateful for what I was feeling and experiencing in my life, it allowed me to have the capacity to hold space for myself when those things surfaced, which I was apparently ready to feel and heal. I don't think I was ready before. I mean, I wasn't, because that's why it never surfaced the way it did that time. And I tell you, I have felt a complete shift. Something completely has changed within me. And if I didn't welcome that, and I didn't feel it, and I didn't totally allow, Like, if I didn't welcome that, that's it. If I didn't welcome it and I didn't let it out, and just, like, if I distracted myself or if I tried to ignore it or suppress it more, like I had some things for 20 years, I wouldn't feel this freedom now. And I wouldn't be able to talk about this with you, because I want everybody to be able to feel that relief. And you know, it's not all gone. There's things that are going to have to keep surfacing. But that's just because there's layers, right? And you aren't given what you don't have the capacity to experience and hold space for. And I believe that I reached a level within myself and my own personal growth and healing that I was finally able to hold that space. And my intention is to be able to create that opportunity for you guys, because it really is powerful. And sometimes we need that guidance. Like, I have so many incredible people in my life who some I know, some I don't know, and I just follow them and I've learned from them. And if I didn't have that guidance and those simple things and perspectives to kind of help shift and rewire my brain from what was, then I don't know how I would have processed that, or if it even would have happened. And if I wonder if, you know, some of that didn't release, like, how long would I have held that for? It stays in you, you know? You wonder why we have certain belief patterns, and why we have certain habits and mindsets and things that we carry on in our lives that actually don't benefit us, but we're stuck on them. And it's because we have these emotions and traumas and experiences and belief patterns that aren't even ours sometimes, carried on with us. And to be able to see that and release it and know that I didn't have to carry that on another 20 years, 5 years, 7 years, who the hell knows, is just so beautiful. And so with telling you all of that, I hope that it creates an invitation and welcomeness to be vulnerable and, you know, find the support you need. But the number one thing I can say is that you are your number one support. And a lot of people either haven't had the realization that they can be that, or haven't had the position to embrace that, which we're all given a beautiful opportunity for that right now. And with the most compassion and love, I recognize that that's not easy, especially if it's not something you were wanting to do. For me, I chose over this last few years, well, first I didn't, but I ended up choosing to consciously dig into these things and consciously bring them to the surface. So it's different than all of a sudden being forced into isolation and dealing with the whole global trauma that we're experiencing. But when I share these ideas and these perspectives, I hope it's to help you recognize that maybe you can shift your perspective, and it can help you navigate through the emotions as they come. And yeah, you know, I share what I know through my own experiences and my own living, and I'm more than happy to share that with anyone who's interested, because it is with my truest desire to help as many people as possible feel that relief and be able to embody and expand and explore the best versions of themselves that maybe they didn't even know they could be discovering. Some people have no idea who they are. And I mean, even I don't fully know yet, but I'm certainly sure that just as I think everybody is, I am such an embodiment of love, and that is the ultimate truth. We all have the capacity to be that in some way, and we just need help sometimes guiding ourselves to that place. And it's not always pretty, but when you come out, it is the most beautiful thing to be. It's the most beautiful thing to be. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all for listening. I have so much love and gratitude to be able to share parts of me that I used to just hide because of shame or fear of rejection or fear of judgment, and maybe those are still there, but I won't allow that to affect me anymore, you know? And I hope that's all the same for you. Much love. everybody.